We have 4 playmakers for the next hour for the big sports industry in broadcasting. And the first one is the CCO of DAZN, John Gleasure. Welcome. And this is the first question. Is DAZN is right? We just heard DAZN. I heard during my preparations DAZN, and many in Germany say DAZN. Was ein DAZN? So what's right?
Well, it's good. It's good everyone's talking about it. Anyway, thank you. It's DAZN. Yeah, that's the global brand that we've launched, both in Japan, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, and now in Canada.
Who owns DAZN?
Well, DAZN is owned by Perform Group. Perform Group was founded 10 years ago, and it was made up from Len Blavatnik, who's from Access Industries, who also owns Warner Music, Spotify. So it's very much been in the disruptive space and looking at that, looking at those areas. But he's been with us for 10 years, since 2007, and also the management. So I was one of the founders of the company 10 years ago as well.
The main shareholder, 85%, is American. Yeah. And
yeah.
But DAZN is not working in America, in the USA, in Canada, but not in the USA. Why?
Well, it's because as you're looking to roll out, there's 2 things. One is technologically, can you launch? Obviously, the US is the leading OTT marketplace. When you look at Netflix, you look at Amazon Instant Video, etc. So it's, yes, it's a great market, but also it comes down to rights. It's content. Content is what we're talking about today as well. And, it's the availability of content. So in the US, most of the deals are very long deals, 10-year deals. And so it's all about the timing. So never say never, but there's a difficulty in launching in the US because of that.
We're talking about content, of course. We're talking about the different players, playmakers, and we're talking about money as well, of course. Mm-hmm. When do you expect a return on invest with everything you do right now?
Well, we didn't come into this thinking that in 12 months that, we would turn a profit. This is about a long-term investment, just like, all of the other partners coming onto the stage. And, we understand that. I think what's very encouraging, the reason why, in many ways, we've gone deeper and stronger in the markets we have. In Japan, we bought J-League rights, which is the domestic football rights, for 10 years. And obviously, our acquisitions here, but also going into Canada, was because as we understand the marketplace, we see the opportunity there. But this is a long-term play for us.
And a long-term invest, so we do not speak about 2 or 3 years, much longer period.
Definitely, definitely.
Okay. Question to all of you: who has got pay TV at home? Okay. Who has ever seen DAZN? Wow. Who paid for DAZN? Just, you have one month for free, so yep. You never know.
Yeah, I think I don't know why everyone hasn't tried it. So no, but we've been really, really pleased in terms of the adoption across Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. And I think we're in a really strong position. I think from our expectations and where we are, we're ahead of our expectations.
A very strong position in market has, of course, Sky Television. And let me introduce the chairman of Sky Television Executive Board, Carsten Schmidt. Welcome. Fair play. Very important. Carsten, is the slogan still true? All the games and all the goals for Sky Football?
No, for Bundesliga, obviously not. I think everybody knows about the decision the cartel office and the DFL made, and so we can't cover anything, the Bundesliga anymore on all games, all goals. But for second Bundesliga, for example, Champions League, German Cup, that's still very valid. And we consider ourselves, despite the fact that on Friday night we have Babylon Berlin, for example, that we are still the leaders, obviously, in German club competitions by far.
And Eurosport has Babylon HSV. This is a different topic, huh? Right? We talk about that later. How does it affect the no single buyers rule? That is why Sky do not have the Friday games and the Monday games in the new season. How does it affect Sky's reputation in the market? What do you think?
I didn't notice that we have a problem in reputation. Definitely we have a challenge in comms towards our base of subscribers and to the markets to explain this and why we are not the cause of that, the root cause. But I don't think that the reputation is an issue. It's more about the question. I think we super served the German audience over a decade with all games, all goals, and it was a very convenient one-stop shop on premium football and an excellent quality. I think some of our customers, they really don't like that idea that they have to switch and they have to select and they have to download and they have to do things. But, you know, it is what it is. We'll deal with it, and we have the best start of the Bundesliga season for 4 years. Consumption is up all-time high, despite the fact that we don't have the Friday game.
How much subscribers do you have right now?
We have more than 5 million. Our latest count is 5.1 million, which is considerably up over the last years.
How many subscribers do you have?
We don't announce that one thing, but as I say, we're well ahead of our projections, and in terms of not just in Germany, Austria, Switzerland, actually in Japan. In Japan, as an example, we did announce that we were over 1 million subscribers, and in Germany we have a very, very positive situation.
More than 10,000?
10,000 subscribers, definitely.
More than 100,000?
Yes, but I think we could go through the whole hour doing this.
Okay.
But,
so let me introduce the CEO of Eurosport, Peter Hutton. Let's talk about the Eurosport player first. How many Eurosport players are in the market?
More than they thought they were going to be. But we're really pleased with the player. I mean, I think we've made big investments in the player, not just in Germany, but also in Norway, where we bought the exclusive rights for the Football League there. In Sweden, we bought the exclusive rights there. So we've clearly done that with a direction to build that as part of our armory, along with pay TV, of free content, also having a player service that goes direct to consumer.
But you're not satisfied with the quality of the Friday games, right?
Look, I've enjoyed loads of them. I've sat in my front room and watched a lot of the games, and I think the Bundesliga, and me and Carsten have talked about it before, is a brilliant product. It's well filmed. It has a superb atmosphere. The stadiums are unique. And I think, a Bundesliga game is a brilliant product, both if you go there or if you watch it on TV or on the screen.
But you still, of course, you have to work on the player, on the quality of the player. Is that all done?
We're really happy with it the last few weeks. We clearly came into it with problems. The last few weeks have been brilliant. And I think, as John knows and Carsten knows, you're always in the lap of the gods a little bit when you start a new project like this. We didn't go ideally for us, but we're really pleased with what's happened since. We've invested heavily in the technology, and now, fingers crossed, all going well. And we know we've got more challenges to come, because every week we're getting more and more concurrent streams. That's the biggest problem in the business. But so far we're riding it and doing well.
How many streams are there actually right now?
Look, if you look around Europe, on a busy night, you can have French football on our channels, you can have Norwegian football, so it adds up to a huge amount of concurrent streams. Now, I'm not going to put a number on it because I think we will be making announcements fairly soon, and I'll be shot if I give it at the wrong time. But, you know, it's growing all the time, and we're testing it all the time. And I think the biggest test is still to come, because with the Olympics in February, we know we're going to have to hit a huge amount of concurrent streams all over Europe, and that's our next big challenge, and we're making sure we're ready for that.
You will announce numbers in the next 45 minutes?
I don't think we've got enough time to go through each individual number. But, okay. But yeah, you know, we're getting ready for it, because I think, you know, we're a public company, and, you know, our sports profile is profitable. You know, we're a company that proud to say we still make money on sport, which is not an easy role to do. We're publicly listed, and as a result, we will make our numbers transparent. It's part of who we are. But we're really pleased with the way that we've made the progress this year, because it's clearly a difficult time for the whole industry. Everything is changing rapidly. We all have to learn with the new realities of how people are consuming content. And there are people out there that say they're football fans, but they're football fans because they play FIFA and they watch the scores on Instagram and Snapchat. And part of what we have to do is deliver content to that group of people that is not going to sit and watch a 90-minute football game, and maybe encourage them that one day they will, but at the moment they won't.
There's still one seat empty for Adrian Fikentscher, Managing Director of SportA. Welcome. Adrian, first time we talk in English. Wow.
With you, yes?
Yes. Yeah, of course. Yeah. With the others, yeah, different story. So the Olympics, one big shot in the next in 2018. What is your estimate of costs that ARD and ZDF have saved through the Olympic deal?
I think when you acquire sport rights, and that applies to every one of us sitting here, you never save. You always, at first, spend. Of course, when you have a situation where you're not there anymore, sitting with an original rights holder like a federation, but with a rights holder who is able to exploit all the rights, it's even more difficult to save. However, it is then the rights holder in control of the rights who defines when you're allowed to come in or not. And I think what ARD, ZDF are offering is not only money, but is, as we all know, quality, history, as well as particular reach. That's what we offered along with money. Therefore, ask me that in 2024 in September, whether we saved something, but at the moment we spent something, but for a good product.
Where's home of the Olympics?
I think when you read the electronic signature of Eurosport, then it's there. But when you're a viewer, we would hope that they remind themselves of the times where there was ARD, there was ZDF, and up to 2012 there was Eurosport, and all three broadcast the Olympic Games. And that's, I think, the challenge for all three, that this will continue in a successful way, particularly with games taking place most of the times in Asia.
So Germany is one market, but for Eurosport, as the name says, it's Europe. How important is Germany for Eurosport?
Look, it's been a huge focus, and I think we have to stand up and say Germany was a market that we didn't do very well. You know, I remember when Discovery bought Eurosport, and I came over and I watched Eurosport in Germany. You know, to see all these English speakers with German voiceover over the top, no sense of German personality, no sense really of a German in-vision identity. It was clearly something that we didn't do very well. And we've invested heavily behind people like Boris Becker on the tennis, like Schmidt and Hanneveld on the ski jumping. In each sport, Matthias Sammer on the football, we've put German faces to the forefront, we're telling German stories, and hopefully now we use our pan-European structure and our cost base, but we have a German face and a German identity. And I think that changed one of the big priorities for Discovery, to change what we do here, because I think we accept it wasn't that great before.
how dangerous is the Olympic deal? How dangerous are ARD, ZDF for Eurosport?
They're not dangerous.
Being home of the Olympics, maybe.
No, I think, look, we're really happy we got the deal done, and it's something that me and Adrian have worked on it a long time. We're very happy to come out the other end with a piece of paper. But I think we promised the IOC that we're going to get the games in more screens, touching more people, getting more people to care about the Olympics. You know, that was our big story going in, and we have to deliver that. And I think having ARD and ZDF there as part of the story is a really important part of it, because we know they're going to bring an audience and a professionalism to it, which adds to the Olympic experience. And it also means that we can focus on doing something different. You know, we have to create an identity for Eurosport in the Olympics, which is different to what ARD and ZDF are doing. And that's a good creative challenge. And it allows us to make those investments in augmented reality, to bring in different experts, to try and present a different voice and show things in a different way on a 24/7 basis, and try and find a different space for us. And, you know, we've talked a lot about how we can complement each other's coverage. And the good thing is now we do that with security all the way through to 24, and we know how to plan. And, you know, Adrian's right, it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money in terms of execution, it's a lot of logistics, but at least now we know the rules and we know how we'll work together.
Peter just mentioned Matthias Sammer on Eurosport for the games, for Bundesliga. How dangerous is Eurosport for Sky?
I'm not thinking about categories of dangerous or friendly. We do our job. We have to serve 5.1 million customers in Germany and Austria the best way with the rights we acquired and the editorial and productional experience and excellence we have on Start, especially on the Sky Sport HQ, which we just opened in Unterföhring. We're very, very pleased. I think we serve our customers the best way, and I know that there will be other brands out there, will be loud, they will be challenging because they are new in the business. That's fine, that's competition, and I'd rather be the best in a competition than the best alone.
Oh, look, and I think it's good for all of us in the industry, right, to be challenged and to look at the challenges. You know, Carsten's given me the tour around of Unterföhring. It's an amazing facility that we all learn from. And the great thing about where we are in the industry now is that the rules are changing all the time. And we look at what DAZN do, and we look at how easy it is to navigate on their system. And that's a brilliant learning process for us. And I think, you know, it's really an interesting time for the whole industry, where everything is being challenged, your cost base is being challenged, the way you communicate with an audience is being challenged, and you have to learn from the best. And Germany is a great place to do it because it's such a mobile market where things are changing really fast.
So Sky is the best and you have to learn from Sky.
We learn from Sky, and hopefully they might learn one or two things from us sometimes.
Carsten, this means roles are changing on the one hand side, but the market has to grow, right?
There's a lot of headroom, as we all know. 38 million German TV homes, plus Austria's 41 plus change. Currently, I think we have a market penetration which is pretty low, beyond 20% on pay TV. We'll see 50, 60 in the UK, France. Even in Italy, you have ARPUs of 45 euros a month where we can say, well, we are far behind that. So there's a lot of appetite. And that's the good news, you know, people are crazy about video consumption, not only sports, but also general entertainment. So I can understand that there are business plans outside of this territory saying, well, there must be the winning formula, let's invest. So I'm not surprised by John, by Peter's shareholders, that they go deep into Germany. Well, here we are, we are around here for quite some time. We know that you have to be here for a long time, otherwise it will not work. And we are now profitable. We are in a good, I think, in a good place of saying that we understand the market in a good way, and still, I mean, it's a growth story, and Germany is the fastest growing Sky market currently in the currently 7 European markets we serve. We just added Spain and Switzerland, and so it's good. Won't make these guys an easy ride. I can tell you that. We're good and growing, and let's see who's growing fastest.
Just one learning for me, Sky is the best known soccer channel in Germany. What percentage of the Sky subscribers are soccer fans?
Well, I think a lot of soccer fans, but the real number I want to share with you, if you don't know that, is that obviously this big mystery of Sky is only football is the complete wrong takeaway. So only 25% of our consumption is about sports and football, and 75% is about cinema, entertainment, documentaries, kids, etc. So there is obviously fame for the brand because we served this brand based on football for more than a decade. So thankfully it pays off, otherwise this media money would have been wasted on these licenses. But on the other hand, you have to know that Sky is much, much more than football, and that we are obviously taking now care and broadening our content business towards things like Babylon Berlin, Das Boot, 8 Tage, etc., etc. We launched Sky One, we launched Sky Arts, we have box sets on demand. So we're doing a lot of things outside of sports without even trying to take a risk on the leadership in sports, which we think we have.
We talked before about subscribers and increasing the number of subscribers. Does it mean you have to? It doesn't mean you have to steal subscribers from each other.
No, I think you can see in terms of the numbers from Sky has had some really strong growth. At the same time, Eurosport and DAZN are in the marketplace, and so what's positive is that the pay TV market is growing, and I think that's it's a positive message for all three of us. I think that's that there is a lot of opportunity in this marketplace where we see it as well. It's one of the reasons we came into this marketplace. We said that yes, the rights they were affordable. We really felt we could go in there, but at the same time, as I said before, I don't think we would have planned to have got all of the rights that we have now got onto the service. But you see the opportunity, and we can see how we can target those audiences and bring them on. And I think that's how you use our whole ecosystem to really do that. Because we've been in the German market since 2011. We bought Spox, we had Goal.com, and what's been really encouraging for us is the last 12 months, we've doubled the traffic for those sites. Now we have almost 10 million users. So we feel very confident that we can take even that own user base and convert those into becoming paying subscribers.
Adrian, for ARD and ZDF, where's the niche, or where's the market for the public stations?
Well, when you look at the development of pay, and you asked where is the niche. Fortunately, thank you. In terms of what we do and what we have to do according to our mandate, there is no niche. When it comes to the way we compete for rights, free versus pay, put it that way, then indeed in terms of possibilities to invest, at the same time to recoup. Of course, one can say we have a license fee, a public license fee payment, which however compensates for the downside, which is the mandate we have to fulfill. But we have that money. On the other hand, we don't have any profits or surpluses we can, in addition, invest. And I think the challenge at the time is that the rights holder, as well as each broadcaster, be it pay, be it commercial free, be it us, needs to find out where we have some common interests, where it pays off for everyone. And I think that's what we are currently in a situation. And Peter described it in terms of, well, IOC requested us to do something. Of course, you were not required to do something. You had to decide on your own what you do. Other example, because Carsten was sitting here, handball. Also, the league had an impression of what would be the best for the sport. High quality production, something public service television cannot do for every Bundesliga, handball Bundesliga match. But what we can offer is again, a reach, a popularity a sport needs. And I think that's what we are working here, and therefore we don't consider us also in future to be a niche, but it's indeed not that easy.
And I think for us, that it's important that the ecosystem grows, and we certainly believe that free sport is an important part of the story. And I think it's a great tradition here in Germany that so much sport is free. But I think as we look at it, we're looking at clips being free, of highlights being free, of some long form being free, whether it be on Eurosport 1 or whether it be on ARD or ZDF. And then the stuff behind the paywall, whether that be on paid player services or whether that be on pay TV. And as you offer a solution to a sport and a way of monetizing the sport at the same time as growing the popularity of that sport, it's important you touch people in every different way. Sky Sports News is a brilliant example of how you hit a free audience, because you want people to be aware of the stories, you want them to care about the heroes, and that's a much more complicated ecosystem to say sport is shown like this or shown like that.
Peter just stepped in when I wanted to have another example, a different example, which is the Handball World Cup 2015. We may remember we were not able to acquire the rights for whatever reason. Sky came up and acquired the rights, and I don't know what you will be saying on that, but I think it was not the best for the sport.
Listen, you couldn't acquire the rights.
Because no one really followed it. You had great audience for your terms, but for the sport of a handball world championship, it was perhaps not the right platform. And I think therefore we are still there, we need to be there, and I think there will be room enough for all of us if we work the way we are currently working.
Just to avoid any misunderstandings, you couldn't buy the rights because of the right holding situation, right? So I think we did the best job for the sport to cover it.
I think there's also looking at the word free, because when you're looking at a young audience, an under 40, under 30 demographic, I think one of the questions is how do you engage with that audience? How do you bring that audience through? I think it's the biggest challenge for I think all sports rights holders, all federations, because they're not. We talk about the biggest growth is elements like esports. But I don't personally call esports. It's not sport. It's because of yes, if it's FIFA, you could argue there is a relevance, but it's a lot of them it's not sport. But we're not engaging with that audience, with those young audience. We have to. I think that's is one of the reasons why when we looked at for DAZN, really trying to target markets where we felt that we could cater to that audience and deliver in a different way for that audience.
Yeah, I think we just did this deal with Snapchat for exactly that reason. In that logically it's not part of an Olympic sub-licensing program, but we wanted to hit an audience that is permanently addicted to their phone, that is permanently on Snapchat, and we need to engage with that new potential audience for us. And that's the big challenge of all sport, and it's what Carsten works on and what John works on, Adrian works on, is how do you make people care more, how do you bring more people in, and how do you make them stay for longer? Yeah. And that's a great challenge at the moment.
Let me come back to that handball theme, because I think it was a good moment in this discussion. I liked it. Are ARD and ZDF important for sports, especially in this example, handball?
Yeah, in the Bundesliga, I think we found an excellent partnership. I think it's good for the sport, it's good for our business. I think it's good for the mix of relevance for the public broadcasters, the regional aspects. I think in that situation, yeah, I just wanted to avoid any misunderstandings that Adrian puts an argument about a world championship in 2015, which might not be everybody aware in the cross-off that we did something wrong for the sport. We saved the sport that time for a blackout.
All said?
I think so. It was not implied. But take the ARD and ZDF's view on the Handball Bundesliga. Of course, I think if you want to, you would like to have all of the Handball Bundesliga. And at the same time, we would like to have more live matches of the Handball Bundesliga if we could. But it's that kind of compromise where we think you have the best for you, we have the best for us, and it's what we both do the best for the Handball Bundesliga that then leads to solutions like that.
Handball would be not the right product to put it completely behind pay. It would be wrong. We need to make this sport bigger, and public broadcasters or leading private stations, not all, but leading private stations, could generate the eyeballs and the excitement, and that's what makes this, what these sports need. I mean, definitely. So we wouldn't have acquired that on an exclusive pay basis. It would have been wrong.
Talking about Champions League, because Champions League is behind the paywall from next season on. Right move, Adrian?
No.
Thank you.
But UEFA is not here sitting at the table, therefore it's not worth really complaining. No, we don't think that it's the right move to have everything, and with the UEFA Champions League it's now everything, from 1 single second to the 90-minute match and extra time behind, I wouldn't say paywall, but in pay TV.
Is the Champions League the right sports for complete pay TV coverage?
Yeah, if you look around Europe, it's overdue. I mean, we're the latest of the big five who is allowing that. I mean, UK, France, Spain, Italy, they all experienced that before, so I don't see the argument at all. It's the condition of the markets which are moving towards these big dollar football rates, and it's the normal way. So we're not talking about something which is in development state. It is the crown jewel of football around the globe on competition of clubs, and it's obviously all about money. The clubs ask for money, UEFA and team make the sale, and they have to go into the market and get the best out of it, and that's open competition.
I think it's also important to say it's part of the jigsaw of how rights are working around Europe. And, you know, because of the danger of an ARD-ZDF signal going into France, the French broadcaster objects to the handball being on ARD-ZDF. And for us, that's one of the opportunities and one of the reasons why we need to invest on a pan-European basis, is because that allows you to create the rules, because you are the rights holder, the gatekeeper for a wider territory. And the worry about overspill, the worry about territorial integrity is something that clearly affects the German market a lot, and also particularly threatens the amount of content that has been on free TV traditionally in Germany. And one of the reasons why John was able to enter the market quite cheaply is because there wasn't a lot of competition for things like European soccer rights, because you couldn't put that on free TV, it could only be on pay.
Yeah, and that, because we buy a lot of rights on a global basis, we have the WTA rights, the FIBA rights, you know, it's something we're very aware of, you know, in terms of the marketplace, and that territorial integrity, you know, is absolutely vital for the rights holders now, because of the sheer value. And you know, when you look at the competition that happened for Champions League in France, for example, you know, it was. If you look at those numbers, it's a lot. You know, it's a lot more than it was in this marketplace.
Who shows which game next season?
So we, you know, we've really delighted how we worked with Sky in terms of acquiring the rights, and we will be announcing in due course, you know, the actual splits of the matches and how that will work. But you know, we're very, very happy in terms of, you know, the demarcation that we have.
He said it all.
No, he said nothing.
It's not a press conference today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but I think this is the biggest thing, to decide which game on which channel.
Listen, that's done. It's not even. Maybe we can do one thing, John. We can clarify that there is no work ahead of us in order to map out which games where. Correct. Otherwise, UEFA team wouldn't have sanctioned that deal. So that's dusted. That's a long time behind us. It wasn't easy, but it was good. And here we go. I mean, we will We'll go out when we are ready, when we feel it's the right moment. We have so many things to take care of. John in his business, we in our business, to communicate, to deal. Eurosport came into the market with the Friday game. We had some comms challenges, Babylon Berlin, Christmas business, here and there. So let's find the right way. I think consumers of DAZN and Sky can look forward to a super service next year.
Well, I'm not allowed to comment on UEFA Champions League, but on territoriality, I would like to add a word. I think Peter stressed the concern. I don't know whether that it's economically the best approach than to think pan-European wide. It's costly. I would guess, and I think there are so many examples which prove to the contrary. Why then should be still the Europa League be on free? Why should be, and I'm sure it will take place, be the next Handball World Championship be on free? Therefore, I really disagree. It's not about really the territoriality issue, which made UEFA decide to have all matches in pay.
But I think you see examples all the time, right? You know, the Wimbledon in Germany, for example, is on pay, and it's on pay, and Carsten, correct me if I'm wrong, which I know you will, that because the Spanish broadcaster insists it can't be in free in Germany and can't be seen there for the whole 2 weeks.
No, Wimbledon chooses the best partner. That's why it's on pay.
I would even add, and Sky, and we never agreed on a sub-license.
So everybody has his view.
We're talking not only about TV rights, we're talking about online rights, mobile rights, so there are many different views. How important are online, mobile rights for Sky Television?
Yeah, it's mandatory. We always buy on a platform-neutral basis, and we just don't make any compromises on that. I mean, with Sky Go, ever since 2010, Sky Ticket, which we launched last year, before we had other brand names, and we are now very, very successful with the Sky Ticket, product, which allows day passes, weekly passes, monthly passes. So it's super important, super successful after 1 year. And so we obviously understand the shift in the market. We see, for example, at Babylon Berlin, we have a 50-50 share of linear and on-demand viewing, whereas House of Cards has 90% of on-demand viewing. We know that from our Bundesliga consumption, roughly 10 to 15% is mobile usage. Then we have out-of-home usage. We have linear usage. So the device consumption is a super important way of enjoying our services, and we have the right products, I think, in line. And that's why we are obviously serving Bundesliga and Champions League on all ways in the future as well.
So Sky Go or Sky Ticket is very close to what DAZN, what DAZN does. How important is out-of-home TV for DAZN?
Well, we want to allow the customer to watch what they want, when they want, how they want. So I think in that whether you want to watch it live, whether you want to watch highlights, etc., that should be the customer option. It shouldn't be us dictating how you actually do that. What we've seen is across all platforms, very, very strong usage. Obviously, mobile, it is in the hand. Someone was telling me yesterday that they reckon 178 times that you look at your screen during a day. That's the average. So mobile is very, very important, but equally, we're about the big screen as well. It's about the home access as well. When you look technologically, I use my iPhone, and then I'll come home and I'll put it on AirPlay and use my Apple TV. So I'm not actually changing the device that is delivering my experience. So I think that's going to develop even more over time, and I think that, the connectivity between devices will definitely improve. It's something we put a huge amount of effort in. I think one of the questions before about about platform, you know, how much do you invest? For us, it is one of the critical areas that we are putting. We are trebling what investment we're going to put in terms of our platform, both stability, but also opening the devices that you can consume on. So I think it comes back to the ecosystem. Let the user decide what they want and how they want to use it, but it's our role to give them that choice.
How important are mobile online rights for ARD ZDF?
I think the license fee payer pays us the license fee in order that we can reach him or her. If you now would be a German license fee payer, John, I would know I could only reach you via the mobile phone. Therefore, of course, there is no distinction between mobile rights or other rights. It's also a discussion on are we allowed to do that on the internet or on the mobile phone? No, we need to reach with our content paid by the license fee payer, the license fee payer. And the license fee payer is mobile.
Let's talk about innovations, because innovations are always important. You just mentioned virtual reality, augmented reality for Eurosport. How important are innovations in the market for Eurosport?
Look, I think the first thing for us is that we're trying to go through a process where we're changing a brand. You know, Eurosport in TV terms is a really old brand, you know, 30-year-old brand where people associate us with a certain thing. So to be able to be associated with innovation allows us to change our brand, you know, and that's something that is different to monetization and is one of the reasons why we spent a huge amount of money on it. So I think, again, when you look at the Olympic coverage we'll do and the amount of augmented reality and the analyst tools we'll throw into the Olympics, that's all about associating us with something that's positive, that's change-making, that is innovative. And I think, you know, if there's something that hopefully is a clear message about what we've done in Eurosport in the last few years, it's about trying to change that image by investing in content and by investing in a different way of showing content.
Sky is investing a lot. There are new studios in Unterföhring. There's a Sky Innovation Hub called Play 2016. Does it still exist in 2017?
Yeah, it will also exist in 2018.
What's done there?
It's an innovation hub for employees and for startups. We'll provide a safe room, which we call, where you can develop your ideas after we gated them for 6 months. We take care of all the first round of money, not as an investor, but as a host, and then we'll see how far these products will come, and then we'll see whether we give them another half year and so on. It's just an innovation hub, but I think innovation is only applicable if it serves the customer better. I think innovation is such a big word. Everybody says, oh, you have to innovate, innovate, innovate. You can innovate and don't make the move in the right way, and then people turn away from your brand because they think, oh, you're changing too much of my habits. So you really have to take care of defining innovation in the right way, because otherwise you innovate for the bad.
Yeah, I think it's a really important point, because the amount of sports data that you can now gather at an event is huge. You know, but the challenge is when you innovate, you use that data to tell a story, to explain something, to make something more approachable, because otherwise you can just subsume someone in the volume of data. When we did the Tour de France a couple of years ago, we took a huge amount of data off every rider on every bike, and we ended up not using it because we couldn't process the information fast enough to tell an intelligent story. You know, this year we improved on it, and hopefully next year we'll go further on it as well, because you can do so many really cool things now. You can say about the hydration of an athlete, and you can say what's wrong with them as opposed to saying they're not looking good. So you can explain the story, but you need to be able to do that in a quick, informative way that fits in. So, you know, as Carsten said, it's a really good challenge. We've got access to so many great tools now, but you've just got to use them in a sensible way that actually helps the story, as opposed to just making it too complicated.
John, data is where you come from.
Yes, actually, our kind of core business was back, you know, in 2010, where we first went into the data side. But yeah, we supply and deliver data to over 1,000 broadcasters, ISPs, portals around the world. So we understand the value of that data. But I think what's quite interesting for us is really with the data science now and the understanding of both from a very individual point of view, but also what we call cohorts, groups, where you can really spot characteristics of those groups, and then how you go and speak to those groups, in a cost-efficient way. So I think it's a huge development for us over the last 12 months to really understand that and how you use that, because I agree with what Carsten said. It's often the simple things, it's the little things that make huge differences.
I think the other thing with the data is that it opens up a whole different way of paying for sports rights. In that people traditionally have seen it as it's either advertising money or it's pay money. I saw a brilliant presentation by Alibaba in China where they said, understanding what a person watches, their sports viewerships, their loyalties, tells you so much about what products they're going to consume. And if you can unlock that data to say that will allow the purchasing of products, then you've got a whole different way of funding sports rights. And I think that's one of the challenges for us, is to say it's not as simple as paying a subscription fee or looking for ad sales that will make the experience cluttered with advertising. It's about saying, what are all the financial potentials of the sports event? And let's use that to pay for the sports rights and create a good business out of that.
Just talked about Sky's invest in the new broadcast center. Do you plan to have studios in future with DAZN?
No, we had, it was a big debate actually internally, and as Perform, we've streamed 18,000 live events for the last 10 years, but it was not to a traditional broadcast environment, and we'd never built anything around that. We did commentary, we put pundits, etc. on those feeds, but we never had gone into the studio side. I think we did a lot of analysis of the consumption and when people are coming in to content, and when are they coming into a live match. And the trend that we really saw was that it is just before the match starts that coming in, and at the end of it they're leaving. We are a non-linear service, so it's very we could have 20, 25 live events on at any one time, especially on a Saturday and a Sunday across all the leagues we have. So for us, it's just trying to actually navigate people through to the next match, and that's really our focus. So we totally understand it in a linear world, and everyone here delivers great content in that linear environment. As a non-linear service, we just feel we don't need to deliver that.
What is the future of television, Adrian?
Well, we like to ask always those who invest into sports rights up until 32, I think, or is there any longer deal than 32 deals in the US? Because they seem to know what television will be like in 32. I think we learned from that television is still linear, particularly when it comes to sport. You mentioned that you're a non-linear service, but I love to watch your linear services on your non-linear service, because you have so many. Therefore, I think when it comes to sports, it will continue to be mainly linear, because live is mainly linear. Second point, the split of rights, or should I call it sharing or co-exclusive moments, I'm sure that will increase. We are already now at a moment where the German Bundesliga tries to define exclusivity for any single piece on 300 pages. And we all know it's not really exclusive to a large extent anymore, but it's overlapping co-exclusivity. I think that will increase, and that's where our role is, I think, as well, because we still, I think, are confident that the people will find, also with sports, to press a linear service with the numbers 1 or 2.
Future of television, of pay TV. Carsten, what do you think?
Sports or general?
Sport. Yeah, both.
Big shift from sports from free to pay. big shift. We just in the beginning. I don't see a big future for free-to-air channels having relevant sports live. It will be pay.
Okay. Exclusive rights. How important are exclusive rights?
Well,
that's the name of the panel.
It will be a shift to pay and the relevance of live rights. I'm just saying that. I mean, we see it with Champions League. We see it with a lot of other rights happening. It will be tough for free-to-air to capitalize with these license numbers coming up. Advertising, as we all know, is not something which we see growing endlessly. So I think, especially in this market in Germany, there is a big headroom for spend on pay, and I think there are good arguments that this will drive the market continuously.
The headroom, what do you think, in million people? Around 10 million or even more? You have 5.1
As I said, I think we are
right
currently,
now?
if we look simplified, at a penetration level of 20% in Germany on pay households, and if you come to an average of European developed markets of the big five, you should look at 40% penetration, so you can double it easily. Well, the whole numbers, not Sky numbers only, but the whole numbers of the whole market without knowing these guys' numbers, but there will be a steep development in the next years, I'm pretty sure, as we heard at the beginning, that the pay television environment revenue-wise is growing much faster than maybe 10 years ago even the biggest enthusiasts would have believed.
What do you think, future of television in sports?
Oh, look, it's future of screens, isn't it? You know, you're going to be consuming it on the best possible screen for where you are at that time. I think Carsten's right. I think there's huge potential to grow pay services in Germany. But I think it's a complicated ecosystem. It's clips, it's highlights. People just consume in different ways, and their habits, you know, as Adrian said, look, people are buying rights till 32, but they're not so sure how people will watch those rights. What's clear is that the big sports events, the ones that people care about, will still drive the business. They'll drive technological choices, they'll drive payment choices. So I think when you invest in premium sport, you invest with a certain amount of knowledge that says, if you have those rights, you're going to be in the center of the industry. And maybe that's good enough for now. And you wait to see how you exploit, but you make sure that all your options are available to you by ownership of IP and having an exclusive space.
Yeah, for me, exclusivity is really important because it gives you control, and then it allows you to dictate where and what you do and how you use free, you know, which we are, you know, big believers in free, to drive the demand, drive the awareness, and you know, then it's our challenge is how we convert that awareness to becoming subscribers. So, you know, the exclusivity is important because of that, but I agree, you know. We don't know. Things are changing very, very quickly. In terms of who will be in the marketplace as well, you know, I think there will be changes, you know, relatively quickly, and what they're delivering and what they're going to look to deliver. You know, Facebook bid 600 million for the IPL rights in India. Why did they do that? Because they feel that they can target a cricket fan, and it will, you know, more effectively than the Indian free-to-air stations. I have no doubt that's what they believe. So, you know, I don't think they're going to come everywhere at one time, but you know, elements like that will happen, and you know, it's our challenge to be innovative, to stay ahead, to show that we understand the marketplace, that we can deliver around the experience, and that people will stay with us. That's what we've got to do.
What I experienced in the last hour, that it's pure harmony. The four playmakers are together like Love Island. Oh no, that's a different program, sorry. Not like steel buddies. Is it always like this, Carsten?
Nope.
Thank you. Peter?
I think it's always pretty helpful. Look, the beauty of this industry is that all four of us have worked together for a lot of years in different hats and different jobs, and it's a small community of people, and that's a great thing, because we really don't want any new people coming in, because we all quite enjoy what we do. I think, you know, the great thing is that exclusivity is going to be important, but we are going to be treading on each other's footsteps, and we are going to be working together, and there'll be partnerships, and there'll be rows. But in the end, sport has got a massive future to deliver the video business, and we're going to be at the core of the video business.
Last day, you all have been in Monaco. Did you have a beer together, John? Or do you drink only tea?
We occasionally have the odd little pint, yes, we do. But it's purely for, obviously, to discuss the whole business. That's what we're doing. Hence why my voice is slightly the worse for wear this one.
And
Today.
I don't know the reason, but Adrian Fikentscher left yesterday evening. Why?
He didn't come to our dinner, actually.
Well, I think the rule is you always meet a second time, and in our case, Peter stressed it, John stressed it, we meet always also a third and fourth time. And that's why it seems to be that we can talk with each other even if we have different interests. And of course we have different interests.
Yeah.
That's what we learned. Thank you. Adrian Fikentscher, John Gleasure, Peter Hutton, thank you. Carsten Schmidt. Thank you.